Hey guys, welcome to the Too Heavy Wrestling Podcast for another illustrious episode. You have myself, Clayton Love, our former Master of Ceremonies, Randall Rusin, and good old Eddie Cooney, here to bring you updates on the latest and greatest in the wrestling world from this past week.
Go ahead and do us a favor. If you want to follow us and follow what we're doing, other exclusive content, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and also make sure to tune into every one of our podcasts on Spotify and Apple Music.
Excellent with the social, Eddie. So let's talk about this Bloodline. It has exploded since we were all last together.
Back. Yeah, that was cool. The Uso Penitentiary. I'm glad. I'm also glad they kept the one.
They are the ones.
Yeah, they're the ones.
Always been the ones.
Yeah. So they took that part of the gimmick back. I'm wondering if Roman and Solo are still going to do it during Roman's entrance. Yeah.
Most definitely, because Roman. But particularly with this past Friday's episode of SmackDown, Solo, to me, is taking an unavoidable star diminishing because Roman's not there. Solo went from wrestling Cody Rhodes to within 2 weeks post WrestleMania to taking distraction losses to Sheamus. And that, I don't really care how you look at it, you can't say that's any type of neutral trajectory or upward trajectory.
I would agree that it is a slight downward trajectory, but I would also argue that definitely sells the idea that the Usos are trying to give to Solo that Roman's going to do to him what they did to them. And that, we got through it. But it really sells that idea because when you look at it, like when this is all said and done, the Usos are going to look at that moment and be like, where was Roman for you when we were there?
There's no way the Usos, in my opinion, like something has to happen. They're not going to be a team after this. In my opinion,
Roman and Solo or the Usos?
The Usos.
Oh, you think there's going to be an Uso split?
Yes, I do. I feel like it. I just feel in my loins that this is going to happen.
Explain how, when.
I just feel like it was like too good to like happen. Like I know Jimmy turned on Roman, but in my opinion, or the thing that makes the most sense, so it could go either way. But to me, the thing that made the most sense, Jimmy turned on it, but it could have been a planned attack.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's just trying to convince him, like, oh, you need to do this. And I think Roman actually thinks Jay isn't strong enough.
Yeah.
In reality. And then that turns on Jimmy turning on Jay. But then there's also the probability of Jay thinking, no, this is a stupid idea. I need to, like, this is the legacy that Roman built or whatever it may be. But I think it'd be more interesting if it was Jay getting turned on.
So coming out of it, would Jimmy go back to the Bloodline?
Yes.
So you're going to have Jimmy, Solo, and Roman in the Bloodline, and Jay is on his own?
Yes. I think that actually is pretty cool.
The only reason that would ever make sense to me is the 6-on-6 blow-off match where Jay is in a team with Sammy and Kevin.
A bloody match.
Yeah.
The only way I can see that happening is think back to Roman and Jay's I Quit match in the Thunderdome, and he put Jimmy in that guillotine, right? The only way I can see one of the Usos going back to the Bloodline is if at Money in the Bank, Jay or Jimmy has to choose between saving Solo or the other twin at Roman's direction. Which then I don't even know how you really get to that point because they would both basically have to be set up for concerto shots.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that I can see. They're all in enough space.
Right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
type deal.
I just feel like when they got back together, of course it makes sense. Like they're both twins. It made complete sense. Solo turning on Roman is also a probability, but I just feel like they're too they've built a lot around Roman being the tribal chief. I feel like it's time to shave off some of the Bloodline, and I feel like the best way to do it is to split up the Usos. Like, if you're not going to take Solo off, which, honestly, that wouldn't happen.
No,
he's an enforcer. He needs to be there.
At this point, I think Solo's baked in.
Yeah. I just think that would make the most sense.
But, did you... there's not, unless you go with an injury angle and they just go off TV for a couple months, there's no way to split an Uso off without him wanting to continue to fight the Bloodline in revenge.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they would have to really like write him off
Yeah.
for a while.
I completely understand that. I feel like SummerSlam coming up too, it could make sense. Like, hey, well, actually, a Money in the Bank would probably make the most sense because with what's going on, I feel like it'd be good to. It does make sense with Clayton's idea in regards to like, hey, choose what's going to happen. But at the same time, I'm like, it just Jimmy doing what he did when he did it just kind of made more sense. What's like it. I felt like this could be like being played out. Like he's doing this to see where Jay's loyalty will stand with the Bloodline. And that's just a theory. That's not completely like something that's baked in my head, but I think that'd be really, really interesting.
I just don't know, because this story's been going on for 3 years at this point.
Right.
I just don't know that we need that convoluted level of storytelling at this point. I mean, I'm still cool with some twists and turns, but that's really deep.
That's really deep.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't hate it. I would say at this point, if you were going to split the Usos, it would make sense that they only split because one wants to stay in the Bloodline and one doesn't.
Right.
So I agree with that. I just don't know which one. Like in my head, one doesn't necessarily completely make sense over the other.
Yeah.
So
definitely. No, I see that. I feel like Jay, if anyone were to go over between the two of them, it would be Jay, just based off what has happened, based off the way they tell Jay's story. Jimmy,
outside of wrestling stuff,
Jimmy is kind of a supporting character at this point for the Bloodline, in my opinion. I think even after what he did, I'm like, this is for Jay, not for Jimmy.
yeah.
So I feel like it'd have to be Jay getting turned on and Jay becoming a face.
That would help increase Jimmy from supporting character to
Exactly.
character.
the WWE did trademark a few weeks back fearsome twosome.
What is that?
Fearsome twosome?
Do you know at all, like in any context?
Nope, just that's the trademark that they filed for. So who knows? It may not even be used for the Bloodline. But if I'm taking the adjective fearsome, Roman, Brock,
Goldberg. Bill
no,
Goldberg,
we don't talk about the Hammer.
Ryback.
Who can't even get a retirement match against Ryback in AEW. That's just how much of a damaged
Braun
asset that
Strowman.
is.
Bray
Heel
Wyatt.
Braun Strowman. Which Bray Wyatt?
Throw a dart at the dartboard and pick one at this point. I don't really care.
Hey, we're going to do anything with Bray Wyatt. Let's also go on that.
We can get on the Bray Wyatt train for just a second before we go back.
They want the Fiend back, but they killed the Fiend, and Bray's like,
Well,
I don't know what you want me to do.
So the whole thing with Bray is in his contract, he retained creative control more or less. And so he was like, no, we killed the Fiend. I'm not bringing him back. And they were like, but we want the Fiend back. And he was like, he's dead. Yeah.
You wanted this.
So
We're here now.
I
They
don't
have
know.
a good... okay, they had a good storyline, what they wanted to do. They lost out on the guys they could have had
Yeah.
to help portray that story with
That
Vincent and
whole
Dutch.
that whole cast of characters just lost their jobs. Play ball.
Right. And it's kind of dumb that they had to go through that. Bo's still employed, right?
Good for him. I'm glad he got guaranteed something.
Yeah, like, you need to do something with that. Maybe fearsome twosomes, Bo and Bray.
Yeah, why not? It's also a very silly name. I don't like that name.
The second I know it's Bo Dallas, like the second I knew or was educated that Uncle Howdy was Bo Dallas, I immediately did not care about that anymore.
Fan.
My interest here off a cliff. Bo Dallas's peak is the A-listers with McGillicuddy.
B-listers?
Everything else,
Yeah.
trash. I would be more interested if they brought Bray Wyatt back as
that's
Husky
gross.
Harris,
Yeah, it's kind of disgusting.
then bring Bo Dallas back in any capacity, and I know it's Bo Dallas.
I think Bo Dallas did good thing. He did lack charisma for a very long time. A very
Lacked charisma, lacked work rate, lacked in-ring technical ability, lacked the necessary crowd control to get over.
Yeah.
Either way, like, Bo Dallas is a
worst NXT
dude.
champion, in your opinion.
He's going through the
I know,
list.
he
He's
is going
scrolling through
through
the
it.
Scrollodex.
He's thinking long and hard.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing. At
Currently,
the time, Bo Dallas
yes.
was super over as NXT champion.
Are you sure?
I'm not going to call him the worst NXT champion. I'm not going to, because I need to like really review that. What I will say, he is an former NXT champion who has done the least with having that.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, that could be.
Of any gender
Other
on
than
NXT,
Karrion
male or
Kross
female.
up
Like,
until recently.
Karrion Kross is the future for the next 10 years,
Yeah,
along with
no,
Solo
the
Sikoa.
future- no, here's the deal. Just to bring it back a little bit, LA Knight is the future, even though he's 40, and apparently that was a problem. I don't know if you guys read those reports, but LA Knight, the reason they wanted him to be Max Dupree and a manager is because they thought he was too old to wrestle.
Get the hell out of here.
Mind you, he
Yeah,
and Damian Priest are
100%.
roughly the same
Damian Priest
age.
is almost 42. But LA Knight, because a lot of people were like, oh, should he be Bray Wyatt's first opponent back? It was very funny because even though he lost, the person who came out on top of that feud was LA Knight
Yeah.
at this point. And just to kind of bring it back towards Money in the Bank for a second, like LA Knight's going to win that match, right? Or who do you, yeah.
All right.
He has to.
All right. If
He has
doesn't.
to. If he
because the alternate theory right now, if you didn't see on Monday Night Raw, Logan Paul got added to the men's Money in the Bank match without a qualifier match. He just is in the match now.
Yo, how the hell you record stuff in the Suicide Forest and somehow you get rewarded over time? I don't understand all. You want me to go off?
member berries.
Yeah.
Nobody
You want me to
remembers
go
that.
over Look, we had a rant about Austin Theory not too long ago. There's nothing wrong with Logan Paul as a wrestler. I do want to point that out real quick. I like Logan Paul as a wrestler. He is really good. What has he done recently to win, like, just in general, to be in this match, two, to win?
I got it.
Let's
I got
hear
it for you.
Sure.
I got it for you.
Let's
Ready?
hear it. I'm listening.
You ready? What do Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, and Logan Paul all have in common for the last
beat The
calendar
Miz.
year? And
They fought Roman Reigns
Lost.
not just fought
for the belt. Yeah.
for the belt. So Logan Paul,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you on your frustration. But as far as like, think of like the Raw roster being like ranked from 1 to whatever with the number one contenders, Logan Paul is in like that 4 or 5 spot at
It's
worst
like,
in terms of importance because he got that match.
He's been there only a handful of times, but I would be remiss to say, but I think Logan Paul is a main eventer. I don't think Logan Paul currently exists in the mid card.
I think Logan Paul is literally the guy who is going to talk a lot of crap, make it seem like he's going to win going into the pay-per-view and then lose.
That you
think-
just described every heel. That's not different.
No, but he doesn't have anything, in my opinion. Like, going into it, Seth Rollins. Actual thought of Seth Rollins losing.
Yeah. Wait, what losing what?
Did you think Seth Rollins would actually lose that match?
His Money in the Bank or the Braun Breaker match?
Against, no, not, WrestleMania.
Oh,
At WrestleMania.
I mean, no.
Yeah, exactly. When Logan went against Roman Reigns, same thought.
Yeah, 100%.
You 100% thought he'd lose.
I knew Logan Paul would lose that match, yeah.
Okay. in this situation, when he gets the Money in the Bank briefcase, do you actually think he'll win?
It's not a 0% chance. There is not,
especially with there being 2 belts now.
Chance Logan Paul walks away with that briefcase.
I think for him to hold that briefcase, it does not help him. Well, it could help him as a character, but it's not going to help him more than anyone else in that match.
Yeah, but
I think
that's okay.
The only other if I'm going to break this down more, there's one answer. There's only one answer that needs to win.
Yeah, it's LA Knight.
Yeah.
100%.
Why do we change? Like, why? Why do we?
Not
misdirection.
Only misdirection, but genuinely, he's going to add value to that match.
Logan
Paul will add value to that match just by bringing more eyes to the product, and because he's legitimately good enough to have spots that are going to be worth watching.
So I was actually going to say this. And it feels like, in terms of our stereotypical wrestling tropes and terms and titles that we give for things, it feels like cheating saying this, but Logan Paul is not a main eventer. Logan Paul is also not a mid-carder. Logan Paul is a special interest wrestler who gets main event spots. Both positioning on the card and within the match. Like, my canon for Logan Paul being in the Money in the Bank is we're going to get a ladder spot akin to the Royal Rumble spot with Ricochet.
Okay, cool. He makes Ricochet look relevant.
Going for the briefcase. Like, they're both going to be on opposite ladders, both jump for the briefcase and just clothesline each other 15 feet in the air.
I'll give you all that.
100%. Because you don't like Ricochet.
It's not that I don't like Ricochet. It's just when he came to the WWE, it was really cool seeing that moveset. It was really cool because we hadn't seen something with that moveset. His moveset's gotten worse.
Yeah. Do you think that's his fault?
It's almost like somebody told him, take the Ospreay out your wood moveset.
I don't think that's Ricochet's fault. Because the thing is, when you think of Ricochet, even NXT Ricochet, really, he had the super indie mark moveset that everyone loves on the indies, and you even love in, like, New Japan.
Right.
That, and I will die on this hill, I will say it every time, that style does not belong in WWE. It is a specific wrestling product that has a threshold for that kind of moveset. So Ricochet could either wither away in the top or mid card because he didn't want to adjust and get relegated to main event, or he could adjust his moveset to belong more on WWE TV and at least get an Intercontinental title run.
Wesley is fucked once he comes to the main roster.
I was going to say this later on in, like, our filler period, but I had this thought because when I watched NXT this past week, I, of course, tuned in for the Rollins and Braun Breaker match because, oh my God, what a match. But when I was watching Wesley wrestle against Tyler Bate, all I could think about Wesley is that's Ricochet with, like, a cup more charisma.
100%. And that's the thing. Like, that wrestling style in general, if you do not find a way to adjust it to the other wrestlers in WWE, you are going to fail because and here's the thing, WWE tried it. They did the Cruiserweight Classic in the Cruiserweight division. Yeah. That was their indie darling. If you're going to keep that moveset, you go here to shine.
Right.
Then they gave the title to Enzo, then they crashed the whole thing and now it's gone, but that was their, like, 2017, 2018, that was their time to shine. Now that that's gone, you just plain don't get to have that moveset anymore, with the exception of if you want to create a top spot at, like, a big four. Because here's the deal, right? The Canadian Destroyer is a basic indie move. All of the momentum comes from the person who's taking it.
Right.
The reason why it looks so cool when someone like Bad Bunny does it is because all of the other wrestlers that did it in previous promotions had it taken away from them. That's what built value in that. So they will, because the thing is, they will even keep some of these moves, but they will only do it at pay-per-views.
I'll take it a step further in regards to the skill set. To me, it's not that they only do it for a spot at a pay-per-view. They only can do it when they're not dependent upon the other person. Part of that wrestling style It's having somebody else that can
100%,
do
because
that.
they know how to sell it
And-
right.
And even if you didn't know how to sell it right, you can mimic
Right.
the movements enough, because you can tell when it's like slightly off when they're both trying to do the same overall movements. But nobody's built like
Not
that in
and that's why they can
WWE.
go to AEW and get the TNT whatever, but like, yeah,
Look,
it doesn't
there's, like-
belong in WWE, unfortunately. And I'm not saying that as my opinion, because I do like that style of wrestling. There's a lot of value in it. We go to a couple different local
Right.
promotions a couple times a year. We love indie wrestling. When I say it doesn't belong in WWE, I'm not saying that as my or our opinion. I'm saying that as someone who just watches the product and knows like where the threshold for that is.
Doesn't belong in Vincent
That's a
Kennedy
better way to put
McMahon's
it, yeah.
WWE.
Looking at kind of the reason why I brought up this Ricochet conversation in the first place. 630. Devastating. Looks like a devastating move. And the way he moves in the air, fantastic. Goes to shooting star press as his finisher.
Do you think that was a him decision?
I don't think that was a him decision. And I'm not completely blame. Well, at the same time, it's like he is getting older. Like maybe it was a him decision.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was or wasn't.
Yeah.
I was just asking if you
Yeah.
think it was.
But it's like, I'm looking at Ricochet's style from watching all these PWG Battle of Los Angeles events
Yeah.
compared to what he's doing now. Honestly, the big thing that's changed is that finishing move. Like, he is a strong guy. If you've never seen him wrestle,
He can lift almost anyone on the roster.
he could do what Chad Gable did to Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
If he, I think
Yeah.
he's lifted some.
I think you guys are dramatically underrating how
Oh, that is
unbelievably
true.
strong Chad Gable
Completely
is.
strong, but at the same time, Ricochet like can be in a sit down position and put someone up in a vertical suplex. Like I've seen him do that.
Yeah. I think there is a size threshold on the person he could do that. He couldn't do that to Jonah. But like he could do it
what
to
Chad Gable did at WrestleMania. I think he could do that.
a roll through German.
Momentum.
I think for Ricochet, some of it is a him decision, because there is something that is unique through everyone that works in WWE with a flying moveset,
Right.
if you will. There is going to come a match that is produced where you need to land on your feet
Yeah.
out of a flying move.
100%.
Like if you're looking at all the earlier high flyers, Billy Kidman was a dangerous guy when he was hitting that shooting star press.
Yeah.
Before
Yeah.
like the 450 splash came back on the scene with Justin Gabriel, and I think Mustafa uses it now too. I can't recall ever somebody doing a 450 and landing on their feet as a part of the match flow. Like that is insanely dangerous.
So the thing is, just wrestlers like Ricochet in general, if they want to be in WWE, they're 20 years too late, because in general, they should have just been in WCW anyway. They should have gone to the WCW Cruiserweight division where they were treated properly with respect. They had their match time. The title mattered there, whatever, right? If you're going to try to do that style today, you need to go to New Japan. That's where that is. So
I think there are certain exceptions to people of that size. You just look. If we're gonna be honest, you just can't be this. You can't be a high flyer at that size. If we're gonna be honest, like you could literally be. You could be striker. You could be a
at
technician.
what size? At Ricochet size?
I mean, Adam Cole was practically Ricochet size, and he was
Yeah.
still, regardless, putting in work.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you just it's so hard to be a high flyer and be that way. Like that's why Jeff Hardy wasn't respected, in my opinion, as much as he could have been.
There were plenty of other reasons why Jeff Hardy wasn't respected.
Yeah, but I think his wrestling style did play into a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like that's why we had throughout the 2000s and 2010s, we had people like CM Punk, another good example of that during his before his straight edge society stuff. He was a hard hitter. He was a grappler. He could do everything.
Yeah.
Where you can't have that certain skill set where on TV you could just be a high flyer. You need to have everything. And I think that can go against certain wrestlers, but at the same time, it's like Ricochet can do all of that, but he's too far down the rabbit hole, and this is not completely him
Yeah.
to where that is the problem, but he's too far down the rabbit hole with this high flyer stuff. Like, he needed to have like built more to that in NXT, and like, crap, I thought Roderick Strong would have been a great example of being that size and then moving up to the main roster. Obviously, that did not happen whatsoever. I thought Kyle O'Reilly would have been a great example of that too. But
Well, so ultimately, I think all of that was to say you don't even think Ricochet deserves to win this.
not even a little bit.
Would you rather have Logan Paul?
I'd rather you bring Rene Dupree back into the WWE and have him win.
Have him do it. You guys kind of touched on it the other day in the group chat, but like I think we all agree LA Knight is first.
Yeah.
Who's second? Who should win if LA doesn't?
Personal.
Got to be
Yeah,
Damian.
that makes sense.
Damian Priest is a great.
It's got to be Damian. If it's not going to be LA
makes
Knight,
the
it's got to
most
be
sense.
Damian
And
because
then if it's not Damian, then do you land on Logan Paul or do you go somewhere else?
I'd put Shinsuke.
I'd land on
number
Logan
2
Paul.
just because I want him to have a world title, but that's just a personal opinion. I think Damian should be number 2, and Logan would then make the net most.
I think Shinsuke's world title needs to come from a real victory and not a Money in the Bank one. However,
Yeah, I agree.
both LA and Damian, I think their characters and the way that they portray themselves, it will not diminish
Yeah.
their character or their
Absolutely.
style by having a Money in the Bank cash and win,
Mm-mm.
especially if they are given a 6 or 8 month run with the title, which by the way, we can go back to those increments, right? We can, now that we have another world title, we can start talking about a 6 month run being a good run
Right.
and an 8 month and maybe a year if we want to give someone a really long time. Now that we have Seth Rollins in this World Heavyweight Championship, I don't see Seth Rollins coming out of this year as World Heavyweight Champion if we're
Agreed.
lucky.
no.
So
So, kind of a topic I've never really talked about either. If a face character wins the Money in the Bank briefcase, depending on who they are, does it diminish their character? Like, so, for example, Liv Morgan.
it's to me, and this is very intricate. To me, it's not about who they are, it's about who they cash in on.
Okay.
Because if you're a face and you cash in on another face, you're likely turning heel.
Right.
But if you're a face, well, even the situation matters. Because if you're a face and you're cashing in on a heel who just won the World Heavyweight Championship or whatever, then people are going to cheer you because that's kind of, instead of being viewed as like cowardly, you're going to be viewed as a hero.
Right.
Hey, you don't deserve that title. Even though you just won it, you don't deserve it. I'm going to bring it back to the good guys. That's what I'm going to do. If it's a heel that just defended his title,
Right.
that's almost the same thing. But if it's a lot less about being a face when you win it and a lot more about who you choose to cash in on.
Right.
My take very similar to that, but I think that take applies for every Money in the Bank winner up until
Yeah.
John Cena won Money in the Bank. Once John Cena won Money in the Bank, once you have that briefcase, you're no longer a face or a heel. You are
Yeah.
a star.
You're a tweener.
And we're going to see what happens, and what happens is going to determine your
Yeah.
alignment moving forward. Because
I would caveat that about whether or not that was used to bring you into the main event, because for someone like RVD, like that's very true. That
Mhm.
catapulted him into the main event. I would also say that about CM Punk, right? But when Edge won it,
Yes.
he was just a heel. That was just a heel who won the briefcase.
Yes.
So I think it's a little bit dependent on.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I said up until John Cena won the briefcase, and then going forward from there. Because where in the world is Damian Sandow?
Is he still in NWA at this point?
He's still in NWA.
Being a producer and sometimes a part-time wrestler? Yeah. Which we love NWA,
Okay.
by the way.
We do. We love NWA. Okay, here's another name:
Yeah.
Otis.
Look, dude, I'm like Otis as a world champion.
I was stoked when he won.
I have
Okay.
a third name for you: Austin Theory before Vince McMahon got
Yeah.
pushed out.
I could talk about how much I
Like those literally people who win the briefcase and it does nothing for them because their character isn't established. So you, him. Nobody gives a damn whether a face or a heel.
Yeah.
You sucked. You got the briefcase. You don't win. You still suck, though. Otis not so much. Otis is in that fan favorite area.
That was
Like
just, when he won that, I immediately was like, okay, but that was the only time, even when Theory won it, because I knew he was Vince had him in his pocket a little bit. Otis was the only one that when he won that briefcase, I was like, yeah, but you're not gonna win. Like he immediately, I was like, how are they gonna get this briefcase off of you before you fail to cash in? And that's exactly what happened. So I knew that was going to happen right away with Otis, but he's the only one.
Hot take. In 2007, when I'd first started watching wrestling, when Kennedy won that Money in the Bank, I didn't think anything would come of it when he won it.
Really?
I did not think.
I am on the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
What I knew back then, I was like, he's breaking out into the main event like he should.
I looked at it as I'm looking at the archetype they're going for right now.
Yeah.
And I looked, it's either they wanted built buff guy or legend.
For that time period?
For that time period. You looked at John Cena, you looked at Batista, you looked at The Undertaker, you looked at Shawn Michaels. They, Booker T for a little bit, Randy Orton.
Shawn Michaels is not big buff guy.
No, I said or legend.
Oh, okay. You did say or legend. You're right.
They brought back Mick Foley for some title like ramifications. They put Bobby Lashley in the main event. When Mr. Kennedy won that, yes, he was over. Absolutely, he was over. Like, people wanted him to win that briefcase, like, and deservingly for the buildup that he got.
Yeah,
totally. Obviously, with the facts that we know now, his injury was not as severe as it really was.
Yeah,
and it was just basically WWE doctors not being to where they were. But at the same time, I'm like, shoot, can I actually see Kennedy cashing in on John Cena or on Batista? And at the time, I said no. I didn't think that. When Edge won that, I'm like, that made sense for where they were going. And in the long run, it helped for better television, in my opinion. I thought that was, if Kennedy won, it would not have had the same impact and the same significance as Edge cashing in on The Undertaker.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I would say, though, that Mr. Kennedy winning Money in the Bank and CM Punk winning Money in the Bank are two sides of the same coin. Because legitimately, Jericho was in some respects, his third or fourth career renaissance towards the tail end. I didn't see CM Punk taking the belt off of him. John Cena returning from doing movie ABCXYZ and taking it off of him? Yeah. But CM Punk? No. Did Triple H or Randy Orton have the WWE championship at that time? Like, I didn't see it.
Edge, right? Am I butcher? CM Punk.
No, he cashed in on Jericho after Batista bombed him.
Second time.
With his injured back.
The first time was Edge, the second time was Jericho.
I didn't see the first time around, I didn't see CM Punk doing anything with it either. Like, honestly, CM Punk was the big indie guy. This was when I first started learning about the indies. I'm like, okay, CM Punk was as big as you could get on the indies besides Bryan Danielson at that time.
Yeah. Well, you also have to remember, at the time that Punk was cashing in on the World Heavyweight Championship, it was the B-Show title.
Right.
It was not as important. Like, that was literally a couple years later, Christian won it. And it breaks my heart to say that because I love Christian and I think he deserved a real world title run.
Christian only won it because Edge got injured and had to retire.
Well, he won it twice. If you remember, actually,
that was a good story.
Do you remember, how did Christian win the World Heavyweight title the second time?
Low blow. Disqualification.
He is the only person to win a world title by disqualification.
He spit in Randy Orton's face and then, I remember.
Yeah. Did you know that?
That wasn't a bad story for what was happening.
What was funny is when Edge came out like the next week and was like, you won it by DQ, bro. Like Edge grilled him for it, but you should go back and watch it. So the whole build up to that main event was Orton. It was it was like 2011, 2012, something like that. Orton is in the middle of his hothead and he's the champ. And they're like every week building up, they would give him more and more, like, you need to stop acting like this. So finally they were like, if you get disqualified at the pay-per-view, like, you're going to lose the belt. They put that stipulation on the line. And that's not the first time they've done that stipulation, but
No.
every time up until then, the champion just didn't get DQ'd. It wasn't a problem. We moved on.
Didn't Dean Ambrose have something like that too?
Yes, Dean Ambrose had something similar.
Okay.
They haven't done it before or since. Christian won the World Heavyweight Championship by DQ because Orton couldn't get his shit together when Christian spit in his face. But to bring it back, LA Knight, if he wins this briefcase, does he go? Because right now he's super over.
Right.
He's in that tweener stage. He's cutting promos on both faces and heels. He's very much in an early Stone Cold stage right now.
And he has the John Cena rub without a match.
So when we get to him with the briefcase, does he start leaning more face? Does he start leaning more heel?
He better be heel.
Is he going to cash in on Seth?
It's going to be the exact character he is now.
As megastar
And
as megastar can be.
Not Seth? You think he's going to go for Roman?
No. Yes, because in the world of backstage politics, Seth has earned this run.
So that's the
with
thing,
the belt.
right? Like, both of those things can be true. Because, like I said, I don't see Seth Rollins going to the end of the year. I don't see Seth Rollins entering 2024 as World Heavyweight Champion. I think he will have lost it by then. I also don't think LA Knight's going to cash in like same night. So LA Knight could probably just cash in Survivor Series or later. Like, you could have that cake and eat it too for once.
Yes, but
LA Knight loses.
Historically, I don't see main event Jey Uso, let's say, for example, or Cody, for that matter, taking that belt off Roman this year, but Roman's losing that belt this year.
Roman's losing the belt this year.
You think it's going to be LA Knight?
This year.
I think you're wrong entirely.
You think it's going to be LA
Yes.
Knight?
Yes. He will get Rome, because here's Roman's big thing. Since he came back from leukemia, starting the Thunderdome, he is taking people with him to the top. Not just his family.
Yeah.
Sammy, Cody wants to do something with, like, Roman wants to make the next stage so he can stop doing this.
So
if LA Knight beats Roman Reigns, even on a Money in the Bank cash in, he is going into
100%.
the stratosphere for the rest of this
I just
decade.
don't see Roman losing until WrestleMania. I truly, from a booking perspective, I truly think this title reign is so protected that they will not have LA. Even though the thing about LA Knight's character is that it exudes overconfidence. It would make sense for him to do that because he believes he's that guy. 100%, it makes sense for that to happen. I think in the background, they are going to protect this title reign and make sure that there are, because it's the title reign and the storyline at this point are the same. It's one and the same. This storyline and this title reign is about each other. I don't think they're going to, and I don't even necessarily think this would be the case, but it could be perceived as tarnishing or diminishing this title run or this storyline by having it end in a cash in.
I think that's how you separate the title from the storyline, though, because you can still do all the bloodline stuff, all the tribal chief stuff, all sorting the family stuff, and have it separate from the belt, which is an accessory to all of this right now.
I agree, it is an accessory.
With Cody, it was about the belt with the bloodline storyline in the background as an accessory, and post beating Cody, it's about the bloodline and not about the belt, and Roman's looking weaker. And not just from storyline interactions, actual physical interactions. He didn't take the pin, but he lost.
So you think he'll cash in and make during a match and make it a triple threat, and they take the belt off Roman without him even getting pinned?
Yes.
Dude,
yes.
Like, okay, so my theory that I've been praising from the mountaintops in regards to Cody beating Roman at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Still in play.
100% still in play.
Still in play.
100%.
LA Knight. Okay, so my theory, I said Cody beats Seth. for the
Yeah.
title. And
When SummerSlam?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that'll happen. I think
I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
that as much as you hate what I was just talking
I
about. I
know.
hate that so
And
much. But please
honestly,
continue.
I do kind of hate that. But because I know Seth won the title, that is why I hate it.
Yeah.
If my original theory with Drew winning the belt, I wouldn't have cared as much, if I'm going to be honest. But since Seth has it, yes, I do hate that. But I think Cody wins clean against Roman at Survivor Series if they do the co-branded stuff.
Yeah.
Which would love that, by the way.
I don't know why they wouldn't at this point. Like Survivor
Yeah.
Series has always been well, I don't want to say most successful because the 2001 to 2005 Survivor Series, which by the way, if you've not gone back and watched, please go back and watch like Team Kurt versus Team Brock or Team
2005 SmackDown versus Raw
Yeah.
Survivor Series.
Team Bischoff versus Team Stone Cold with the whole ending with Evolution and oh man, it's Shawn Michaels. It's perfect. So go
Right.
back and watch that. But other than that, like small snippet, like Survivor Series has always been more successful when they put the brand into it.
It makes sense, and they build it up over like when they did it back when 2016, 2017, I believe 2018.
Well, those were the years that they had Survivor Series, but they also had bragging rights, and I thought that was weird.
No, that was way before. That was like 2011, 2012.
Bragging rights?
Yeah. Bragging rights was like that was Nexus.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's like 2012, 2013.
That worked beautifully. Like it was a great representation of brand supremacy. That works really well. Cody winning against Roman cleanly at Survivor Series. Hell, even not like I don't see why that wouldn't be cleanly. Pin Roman. Someone pin Roman. I don't care. You don't have to lose. Roman doesn't have to lose the title to look weak.
Oh, that's going to happen since they're incorporating that into Baron
Right.
Corbin's lines on NXT. So somebody's going to pin
Yeah.
Roman.
Sooner rather than
Soon.
later, I think that's gonna happen. But I don't think he'll lose the title over it.
Royal Rumble is a
No.
place where rivalries build for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And where people lose world titles. Cody, same stuff which happened with Brock at 2022 Royal Rumble. Do the same thing. Let's say Cody wins at Royal Rumble. Roman spears him. 1, 2, 3. LA Knight comes in, cashes in.
And this is that Rumble.
Yep, this is a Rumble. I think that could make sense, but I still like
Do you want that kind of heat on LA Knight?
I don't think that's necessarily heat on LA Knight. I think that's LA Knight being the megastar and cashing in where he sees the opportunity.
Here's where it's not heat. Because as you guys are talking, I'm thinking like there's actually a not 0% chance of this happening. Any heat that you could put that in LA Knight could incur from cashing in on a Cody that just beat Roman, that's the first or third match of the night. And then the Cody is in the Rumble and wins the Rumble.
Cody.
When my not 0% chance hot take is Roman and Seth are both in the Rumble and don't have
For
belts.
next year?
For next year. There's a not 0% chance of that happening.
I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, I need to believe that Roman loses that belt at WrestleMania in order to make sure that the value of WrestleMania stays where it's at. That needs to be the stage where this 3 or 4 year title run ends.
Roman is WrestleMania. If anything, that is where he
Okay.
always
We'll get it like
retains.
this.
Well, if you're talking about him using that stage, that platform, that belt, if you're talking about him using that to put someone over the same way that Undertaker put over Brock Lesnar, you do it at Mania. It's that same level at this point.
Yes.
So, in terms of Roman, he has to lose at WrestleMania. That is
WrestleMania
that's the
40.
consensus.
I said this about 39 though, so I'm really just hoping this doesn't come back to bite me.
Everyone said it about 39.
Right, but WrestleMania 40, Roman loses the belt. You didn't
I
commit.
didn't really commit. I was like, I don't. I can see him walking
You
out.
saw everyone like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, there are people still committing to that.
I'm committed to 40. I'm committed to my theory that I laid out. I think that is going to happen. Could other things be tweaked? Yes, but I think Cody is going to.
I think
beat
your
Roman
skeleton
somehow.
is correct. I think
Yeah.
what the meat and the potatoes
Like
of it
maybe
might
it's not
mix
LA
up.
Knight. Maybe it's not
Yeah.
LA Knight who does it. Maybe it is a Cody versus someone else world title match, and same thing that happened with Brock happens. Ref gets knocked out, whatever it may be. I want LA Knight to hold that briefcase as long as he can. I do want to point that out. I
Yeah.
think it builds to his character. I think it makes him look like more of a megastar if he has some hardware on him.
Yeah.
Staying in the vein of Money in the Bank, because we need to give them
Yeah.
their airtime too. Talk about that women's Money in the Bank and the women's unification match and where our champions are at for the women's division, because I don't know who Rhea's next challenger is.
Hold on. Let me look this up.
Does she even have anyone lined up?
No.
It seems like
I don't think she has anyone lined up.
It's kind of been Dami season and Damian Priest season and Finn season. Literally everyone.
And then
Honestly, I'm fine with that. In Rhea,
yeah,
Rhea's the
Judgment
star
Day
of
really
that
works right
program.
now.
So when you look at the women's Money in the Bank match, you have
Oh, for those of you at home that don't know, this past Friday's episode of SmackDown had Vince McMahon's fingertips all over it. So Shotzi lost her Money in the Bank qualifying match to Bayley without having
what
a
was
match.
that about? What?
Bayley even went in town and did media, and they still pulled the match. And Bayley's just in the match now, and
That's
they're going to
so
do something
weird.
on Raw about it.
Also, just to also make sure we touch on it, last night on SmackDown, Liv Morgan returned. At Money in the Bank, you're going to see Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan go after the tag titles. They didn't lose
So they're
against
the
Ronda and
women's tag
Shayna.
titles are on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, they did it.
They did it.
Hopefully, it's just not a pre-show match.
Hopefully,
With Ronda being in that match, it won't be on the pre-show. It will be on the card.
I will also give Ronda her flowers. That match was
great roll.
not a B.
Great
That was
roll.
a solid
Submission.
match.
Yeah, 100%.
It was in slow motion, but nobody got
Okay, well,
hurt.
here we
Poison
go.
Rana.
So the women's Money in the Bank match, you got Zelina Vega,
Okay.
Becky Lynch,
Nope.
Maybe.
Zoe Stark,
Nope.
Bailey,
Nope.
Io Sky,
Maybe.
and Trish.
Maybe.
Stratus.
Okay. So,
Nope.
Dude, Trish Stratus had a random match on Raw, and then it turned out to be a qualifier match. I was blown away. Then she won, even by DQ shenanigans. I was like, yo,
That match
it was
actually
good.
looked
Yeah, it was
decent
good.
with Raquel.
okay.
Trish had a good singles match on Raw.
Zelina, no. I agree.
Yeah.
Zelina is like not just a no, it's a hard, bold,
Look, I don't want to say
italicized
Zelina
no.
is the Ricochet of this match,
She's the Ricochet.
but
of that match.
Zelina's the Ricochet of this match. No one thinks she's gonna. She'll have a cool spot, but she's not gonna win.
I'll tell you what Zelina is when we're not
Okay.
recording
Zelina's cooler
in that
than
match.
Ricochet. I'll give her that right now.
Yeah, she's got the LWO behind her.
Just don't be Ricochet, and then I'll be
All right, so here's what I think. I think Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, and Trish Stratus all just cancel each other out at this point,
Agree.
right?
Absolutely.
If anybody was gonna win out of
Zoe
those three, it
Freaking-
would be Zoe.
For sure.
Zoe wins. I'll go. I'll be all over that, man.
But I think those three cancel each other out. We've already said no to Zelina, so you got Bailey and Io.
And that is going to depend on two things I actually want to say. So between Bailey, if it's down between Bailey and Io, that is wholly going to depend on what happens with Asuka and Charlotte. Because if Charlotte just walks in, kicks the dog piss out of Asuka to get to 16, they do the little moment,
100%.
Bailey's
'cause they're
winning
gonna
Money in the
Bailey
Bank.
will probably turn face. She might not be Hugger Bailey, but we will see. Well, is Charlotte face right now? Because
Is
Asuka's
Charlotte going-
heel.
Do you guys think Charlotte's going to beat Asuka?
I hope not. I really
Right.
am tired of this
I
formula.
think it's truly a
it
pick 'em.
is
Like
I
a
can't-
50-50 shot. Charlotte
I can't
could beat
emphatically say
Asuka.
one way or another.
Asuka needs to beat Charlotte.
Asuka
please.
needs that win back.
Asuka and Charlotte also have a very unique problem where
Yeah.
face heel doesn't apply to them.
Yeah.
Even
It
though they're
just
trying
doesn't.
to make it look like that.
Bailey and Io
Yeah.
split. Bailey
We're-
wins.
Unless Asuka beats Charlotte, then Io's winning
And then
that
we get Io
briefcase.
versus Asuka.
If Asuka retains,
Well,
yes, because they
that's the
want to
thing.
do that.
If they do that, because a woman hasn't done this yet, do they have Io cash in, but an announced cash in? You and me at this pay per view, RVD style, or do you think
No.
Io just cashes in on Asuka?
Io's just gonna cash in because they're native tongue promo interactions is very much Asuka. I'm the more experienced. I'm the more tenured. You're a child in my eyes, so I'm never going to see you as equal. So from a storyline booking perspective, I don't see Io treating Asuka as an equal.
I could see that.
Also, like, besides, unless you are RVD going into one night stand in New York City?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia?
It
was
the
Philadelphia.
Hammerstein Ballroom.
Okay. Unless you are RVD
Hammerstein.
going into Philadelphia at one night stand, if you call out that you are cashing in Money in the Bank, kind of don't understand the purpose of the Money in the Bank.
Well, that's
you're Bobby Lashley going against The Miz. Another one.
It's just a face thing to do. It's a very much a It's very much a like
I respect you.
Yeah.
Like shut up.
It's well, the other thing is with that, like Cody would do that. That's a Cody thing to do.
It's a Cody thing to do, but it's like, dude, just be greedy for once.
Yeah. So
he has to leave room for black-haired Cody in WWE.
Man, just do some, like, please. If you have the briefcase, like, LA Knight is totally gonna understand the value of said briefcase, unless he just wants to be Megastar, as Megastar can be and hold it all year, and then like be at the deadline, which is what we've talked about.
We've talked about that too. LA holding it for the year that it has.
It's like, dude, just also, I mean, unless you're like, it's burning a hole in your pocket, like for all of the women's cash-ins, like I have to cash in right now, like.
I recently looked this up. Of all the women's cash-ins, only one of them did not take place that night or the night after.
Carmella, that's it.
Yeah, every other cash-in was that night or the Raw after.
Dude, it's so annoying.
So whoever wins this, whether it's Bayley or Io, because I think we're down to Bayley and Io at this point, they need to hang on to it. Because at this point, I would not blame anyone if they expected a women's.
I mean, yeah, I'm like, look, Charlotte. Okay, another reason I don't want Charlotte to win. Nikki ASH is beating her. Another reason, like, hey, dude, you can call yourself a 16-time world champ. Or you can call yourself right now a 15-time world champ. That means you've lost it 15 times. I'm also looking at it like that. I don't care.
Well, let's also look at it like this. When did Charlotte debut on the main roster?
2014.
When did she win her first world title?
2014.
2014 or 2015. Yeah. Either way,
at worst,
it has been less than 10 years.
Ric Flair's 16-time world champion, like it was over a span of 20 years.
Yeah. Charlotte in under 10 years is going to reach 16, but also if you add up her time off, that kicks out at least a year between injuries and just taking time off.
Than a year.
It's more than a year. So they managed to squeeze in 16 title runs in under 10 years. They mean nothing. I truly don't respect Charlotte as a champion.
I'm at the point where I'm like, dude, you're just kind of wasting space. You're wasting opportunity.
Charlotte Flair is what everybody said John Cena was from 2006 to 2008.
But 100%
but actually is that.
Because Cena, even when he came back, Cena had like maybe one or two day title runs, and then there's a couple 1 month, 2 month, 3 month something, but then there's also the 8, 9, 10 month ones. Charlotte has 1 or 2 8-month run or something.
How many times has Charlotte been cashed in on?
Most of the cash-ins.
3 times?
Yeah, I feel like most of
Carmella, Nikki ASH, Bayley.
Yeah, she's been cashed in on quite a bit.
Like, look, I'm over Charlotte.
I am too. I want her to go away.
Wrestler. There's nothing wrong with her wrestling.
I wish that was enough at this point.
Yeah,
her being a great wrestler doesn't mean anything if she's not there to wrestle. Doesn't mean anything.
The second thing in relation to the women's division that I wanted to say in relation to this past week's episodes of wrestling. So we had the unification title match between Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Alba Fire, and Isla Dawn, right? Why does Kaden and Katana look worse coming up?
Weird.
Than the other two.
Weird.
3 minutes. Mind you, I counted them. there were no less than 4 squashes this week between the 3 shows. So
Caden and
Vince McMahon
Katana
problem.
had better match than.
No, they squashed Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green in 3 minutes on Raw. And it was the second 3-minute match squash in a row because Jinder Mahal's Indus whatever. Yeah, that's Cedric and Shelton's role right now. Sorry, but somebody's got to do it. But Sonya Deville, established special authority figure, special whatever figure. Chelsea Green, semi-over, but they're both established and they're losing squash matches to former tag team champions. It makes everybody look bad. Your former NXT tag team champions who are now on the main roster on Raw, I don't care if Ronda and Shayna face them. I don't care if Liv and Raquel face them. They suck right now, literally off of that one match.
Wait,
they suck.
Hold on. I'm rewinding this because I didn't process that. Caden and Katana lost. They won.
They beat Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville in 3 minutes or less.
Okay, but they look worse from that 3-minute match?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
yes,
it's one thing.
Aneurysm.
No, the thing is, because when you're someone when you are not into Sheer, when you are not Jonah, when you are not a larger than life wrestler, you need the time to showcase your moveset.
Yeah.
Because when you're one of those wrestlers, your moveset is clothesline, running into the corner, some sort of splash or drop, it's over. When you're Caden and Katana, you have this entire moveset that you have to have the time to show off in order to show your value. They weren't given that time.
Vince's hands on that, too.
100%.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Vince, everything other than NXT this week, Vince touched significantly.
That's the end of the question. Why does Vince?
So it's just...
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but traditional 1 step forward, 2 steps back. For the totality of WWE, I don't understand how you have a short tag match and there's not even a hot tag. Like, who does that match?
It doesn't even benefit the fans.
How does this help how does this help the division? How does it help your champions? How does it help your contenders?
It doesn't, is the answer.
Yes, Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green 100% can take a loss. That's literally not my point of contention. If they had gotten 5 minutes instead of 3, I would feel slightly better about all 4 participants. Just one.
So, all right.
So
well,
weird.
Bloodline stuff aside, LA Knight winning the briefcase aside, probably Bailey or EO.
Bailey, EO, Zoe,
maybe.
Dark Horse.
Zoe is the third. Zoe is definitely third in my mind. I don't think Becky, because Becky and Trish for sure cancel each other out. It's not a guarantee that Zoe's canceled out with that trio.
Right.
Is there anything else we need to cover? I think
Gunther and Riddle's going to be a dark horse banger of a match.
They're going to kill it.
They're going to shred that.
They're going to kill it. Riddle had a really good match with Ludwig on
and then Dom
Raw.
is going to go over on Cody, right?
Dom's getting a dirty one on Cody.
Tommy needs
for
a
sure.
dirty one.
No, he doesn't.
If anything,
Tommy needs everything, in my opinion, now.
Not only is Dom gonna win, Dom's gonna win after Rhea hits a
100%.
riptide on Cody.
It's gonna be bad.
You send Rhea to the stratosphere just by doing that. I don't need to defend my belt. I'm gonna riptide Cody Rhodes.
We're all on the
My
same
faction wins.
aspect. Finn's losing. Yeah.
Finn's losing for sure. So
100%.
Have we ever had 100% where we thought the challenger was going to lose and then they somehow won? I'll give you one. Jinder.
Yeah, Jinder was the one that was never supposed to win and then did.
Then everyone was like, what the hell?
Oh.
What?
Sorry, fellas.
Oh, did
I knew
you?
Jinder was winning. Yes.
Well, the rest of the world didn't, apparently.
Because here's the thing, though. Because WWE wasn't like in your face about doing this, but they had already been doing it for years. If there is a major international tour coming up,
that's true. They were going to India the first.
One of your main card champions.
They were going to India.
One of your main card champions. And if a main card title doesn't change hands, both of your mid card titles are going to change hands going into that tour. 100% of the time. That's also why
The
Jinder hasn't
rest of
touched
the
it.
world was very confused.
That's also why Great Khali
Yeah,
got
that's true.
his reign.
All right, well, take us home.
Fact a lot.
I think
into
that's
that.
everything else.
So everything. Thanks for spending some time
Yeah.
with us today, guys. Checking out the podcast. We appreciate all of you. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe on all of our socials. We aren't here without you. Zach, zoom the mic in on me. I am now an acolyte. Nia Jax is winning the women's Money in the Bank.